Right, okay, so, one of the jobs that I do here at TF Nation, apart from entertaining you all, is I get to decide what goes on the stage. So, whenever I want something, I get it. And you'll notice there's a theme running this year of things that you don't know. Animated Season 4, you don't know what's going to happen. Marty's going to be talking about it. We've got a panel on Sunday where you're going to get to see some unique toys and stuff like that you've never seen before, because I like learning new stuff. And so, this is the first part of my epic journey into learning stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, to learn some stuff that you've never, ever even seen before, some oddities, if you will, please welcome to the stage Jim Sorensen and Mr. Chris McFeely!
Again. You guys can do better than that. Howdy! That gets it going. So, how do we start this? Well, this panel, as David alluded to, is about things that didn't quite happen, or maybe things that happened a little differently eventually than they were initially conceived. So we're going to be going through some of that material. Why don't we take the lens off? There we go. Party foul. So we're going to start off right at the beginning with More Than Meets the Eye, with some of the early concept models that didn't quite get used. And there's kind of an interesting story about where some of this material came from.
Now, who was here a couple of years ago when I did the heavy metal war panel? Yes. Yeah, you saw some deleted scenes, some things like that. Well, not long after that, TFN, and I think it might have been because of that TFN, a lady from America got in touch with me, and she was it was a furniture liquidator, wasn't it, Jim?
That's right. And yes. As it turned out...
And that's a strange start for this, I think you'll agree.
So when he was contacted by the American Furniture Liquidator, it turns out that she had been essentially dumpster diving and found a whole bunch of old office equipment that got thrown out, and it was from the old Marvel animation studios. And she had literally filing cabinets full of material, and she didn't know what it was, but she thought it might be interesting and or valuable.
So and, she came to me, and I was like, well, I'm interested in that sort of thing, but I'm not the man you want to speak to. I put her on to Jim.
And I helped her catalog what was there, scan material for my book, and also help her sell some of it for quite a lot of money. So it was a win-win-win, and you guys are part of that win. We're going to go through some of that material. So this right here is from basically the very first scene of More Than Meets the Eye, when Ratchet and Bumblebee... Wheeljack and Bumblebee, sorry, are... I've lost the crowd already. All right, panel's over. The winner of the quiz. No. They're going through looking...
I'm sorry. I guess I'll sit down. Might be better for us to sit, yeah.
We like to stand and get the energy. Yeah,
I don't know, I'm low on energy, Jim.
They're looking for energy in old abandoned power plants and places where energy might be found, and that's why they're in the conductor rods. And they ultimately changed this design. It's not what the building looks like exactly, but this would be from that first scene once they pan into Cybertron. Next.
Now look at these. These are literal hand sketches of the landscape of Cybertron for that first scene in the first episode. Just like, it looks like they're drawn with marker, yeah?
And just for context, these particular drawings, I found on Monday of this week. I was visiting her for the fourth or fifth time, and she had found a new folder of material, so I was able to... I couldn't even scan these in. I snapped these on my phone.
Yeah, that's why these are photos.
Yeah, so let's see the next one. Yeah, it's another one just like that.
And look, this is like a transit tube. You can see a vehicle running along the top there.
Yeah, which of course isn't an idea they used in More Than Meets the Eye, but eventually they would get to it.
Yeah, they would in Desertion of the Dinobots.
See, that I know. All right. Next one.
Now this is a fun one.
Yeah.
This is the road to Iacon. You see Jazz coming along here in it. Do you see how these street lights are crossed out?
Yeah. So if you can see what it says is C model sheet. And of course that model sheet is the Soundwave alternate mode for Cybertron.
Because if you didn't know, I mean, a lot of people have jokingly called Soundwave Cybertronian mode a lamppost for, 30 years. That is what he is. He's a light standard. According to the script, he is a light standard, and you can see they have drawn some sci-fi streetlights here, but they had to cross them out and put sound waves in instead.
All right, next. There we go. And this one showed up a little bit.
Yeah, you might have seen this one around. This was back. Presumably they must have been planning to bring Shockwave out in the first year of the toy line and then changed their mind.
Yeah, I have to assume because he was right in the first episode.
Yeah, and early in the comic too. Back when they were calling him, if you can see it up at the very top there, Flash Beam. That's what they were going to call him.
Let's see his alternate mode.
Next. And there's the gun mode.
Yeah, there you
So you
can
get
see
the Decepticons Flash Beam. And these are his Astro Magnum colors, his original toy colors, from before they recolored him.
Was he gold like that?
I think the gold is like an affectation of the chrome. You know how like happened with Megatron in the UK comic?
Yeah. All right, let's see what's next.
What's next?
Oh, yeah, so a very, very early, not quite a sketch, but a very, very early design of Iacon. What it says in the upper right is sample only. This is not a design. This is a proof of concept.
It's not the arc up on the top of it or not.
Hard to say.
Yeah.
It could be.
Because it's such a big dome that comes up, but the arc comes launching up out of it in the course of the episode.
And it's not entirely un-arc-like.
No, but it might just be part of it. I don't know. We don't know. This is the thing that stuff like this can still be found today. Just turn up, and we still don't really have full context for it.
Yeah, literally this week.
Next, please.
Okay.
The Nemesis.
Yeah, so this is pretty similar to the design that was finally used. Can anybody, it's hard to tell on this monitor, but can anyone spot the big difference?
Is that shuttle down the bottom?
Let's go to the next slide. I punch it up. It says Decepticons.
Just in case you weren't sure.
Yeah.
I called it the Nemesis there, of course, but you can see up in the top right, it's just Decepticon ship. It didn't have a name yet.
Yeah, not until Beast Wars. All right, let's see what's next.
Next. Speaking of the arc.
Yeah. So,
Now, you might have seen this one before.
This
You might
one-
immediately think this is an early design for the arc. But it's not.
yeah, this is the Autobot space cruiser that they were alluding to being built at the end of More Than Meets the Eye. Remember Spikes? Yeah, next stop, Cybertron.
It says, builted on the Earth and never been launched.
I like the way you said builted.
That's what it
I
says.
know.
But I don't know if I'm right or not. I think this model might have been used as reference by the Marvel comic. Because you see how it's got the four sort of trapezoid sticky outy bits at the back and the front? And that's what it's not what the arc looked like in the very first issues of the Marvel comic, but it is how it would come to be drawn later on, and I think this might have been used as a reference for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of crossovers.
So the idea was, I mean, everybody knows that in the first episode after the More Than Meets the Eye miniseries, the Autobots just haven't left Earth. There's no mention of it, no explanation. And the idea was supposed to be that they had built this ship and they were about to launch. There was dialogue deleted from Transport to Oblivion, where Ironhide and Prime, when they're out there just before Cliffjumper shoots the Decepticon-shaped rock, they're talking about how they're going to launch the next day. But it's because the Decepticons turn up alive again that they change their plans and stay on Earth, and this is never seen.
Let's see what's next. Oh yeah, so could anyone... So we don't know exactly what this is because it wasn't labeled, but we have a very strong theory. This is definitely from More Than Meets the Eye because of the context in which it was found. Anybody have a theory? Yeah? That's what we think.
Yeah.
We think this is...
Might be some kind of early Seeker design.
Yeah. That would be pretty neat.
You like that one?
You're welcome to take a picture.
Oh yeah, you can take pictures of all this, by the way.
why we're showing it off. I'm just going to give a sec for the camera.
Sure, yeah. We didn't say beforehand. Yeah, it's perfectly all right to take photos.
This is maybe the first one that would actually come out really nice, I think, because it's such a simple, it's a kid design, but it's a really simple one.
It's very much at odds with like the aesthetic
I think that's why,
as we know it. Yeah,
much like the lamppost, I think somebody looked at it and said, there's no way this robot
there'll be a
can come
robot out
out.
of that. Yeah, could be.
They added all the angles. All right, let's see the next one, please.
Oh, moving off the G1 cartoon into some package art that didn't happen.
Yeah, and this one I've seen in an episode of The Basics, I believe.
Well, I might have seen it in a certain art book someone put together.
There you go. We're just plugging away.
Yeah.
This is an early color scheme for Quick Switch. Again, there's no real context around it other than that there's a Decepticon symbol on it. So my guess is the character was perhaps originally conceived as a Decepticon, and when they decided he was going to be an Autobot, they changed the color scheme. But it's just as likely that they had planned to maybe release a Decepticon repaint of Quick Switch after Quick Switch had the finalized Autobot colors. We don't really know for sure.
Yeah, we were talking about this one, and you made the point that there is no big Decepticon leader character in the in the 88 toy line. Japan had Overlord, but there isn't one in Hasbro's line, and maybe this guy was who it was supposed to be. Some of you might know that the Transformers Collectors Club would dredge this up years later and just repurpose it to become an original character, whose name was
Hexadecimal.
Hexadecimal.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
That's... All right, let's see the next one. More box art coming up. There we go. So this, this is a fun one. This was a possible release of the Victory exclusive Mach from Mach Tackle from the Landcross combiners in the U.S. And there were 3 of these pieces of art that surfaced. I'm only going to show you one of them, but yeah. Well, the other 2 are, again, in the Legacy art book, if you're interested. But it's interesting here because they changed his color scheme. You know, he's not really yellow in Japan.
He's all white and blue.
Yeah.
They made him orange.
Yeah, with a little bit of red, but there's no yellow. So they really changed him up a bit.
What's the next one we have?
There we go.
Explain this one, Jim.
Yeah, so this one, this is the Micromaster Battlefield Headquarters, the big set from 1990. And what's fun about this is, and again, these are in Legacy as well, but these pieces only barely showed up in the actual retail release. If you go to the next slide, all you ever see on these guys is their heads. Full barrel and overflow. But if you go back, yeah, they made the whole body for each of them. So I thought that was kind of a fun find. Rick Alvarez over at Hasbro at the time helped dig this up. And we're going to have more material from him a little bit later. Let's see next. Yep. There we go. Yeah, so here's another fun one. This was a proposal at Hasbro for a planned box set of Micromasters that never came out. The actual characters were preliminary. The idea was going to be to repaint them, and you'd have a new piece of box art. But this was just the internal mock-up for the idea, and I guess it never got any traction.
You do wonder if someone inside Hasbro saw that, and if that inspired that new Micromasters box set that's just come out as part of Siege.
Yeah,
you see up here, he's saying, "Together we'll give the Decepticons the crushing blow they deserve." Which Micromaster is that standing there? Is that Crumble? Yeah, who's not in the box.
Again, it's a mock-up. Don't take it too literally, McFeely. All right, let's see what's after this. Ah, yes. G2, would you say infamous for its unreleased decos?
I would say so. Look at that. I love the is it like an alligator deco he's got going on? You see that alligator down his arm and then the scale patterns on his legs. What's the name of the artist who created this one,
I
Jim?
think this was Jeff Mangiat.
Yeah, no, because he was the same. Because this is just a. Well, is this a recolor? Well, they couldn't just recolor existing art. So this is he must have traced or copied the original Mirage art that he
G2 was
created.
when they started playing around with that, but I don't know what the exact mechanism was. Funnily enough, I've seen some of the original Diaclone art when I was putting together the Legacy art book. Hasbro had some of the original Diaclone art, and what they would do is photocopy that, as high resolution as they could, and then draw over it the bits that were different.
Oh, right.
So it's the process is kind of fun. Let's see what else.
Mirage didn't have Diaclone art. That
No,
was
no, no.
originally created by Jeff Mangia.
Yeah.
Same for Sideswipe.
Yeah, and again, I love the little sunset on his chest. It's such a nice.
Down the doors.
Yeah, I can't imagine how this would have interacted with the G2 violent comic book we got. The black kind of works with the guns and whatnot, but this guy looks like he's about to go to drink margaritas on the shore.
Was this Sideswipe or was it Red Alert?
That's a fair question.
Because they did a Sideswipe, so maybe this was supposed to be Red.
That never even occurred to me, but it's certainly possible. Let's see what's next. There we
A lot of people know this one, I think.
Yeah. So they, one of the many G2 projects that got shelved was a second wave of Dinobots that would have had Sludge and Swoop, but also another Grimlock, who'd already come out in red and blue, right?
And the original Grey.
And the original Gray. So we'd have had a fourth one that's yellow with blue stripes.
There's something a bit Jurassic Park toy line about the colors. Yeah, we would have been in '93, so yeah, that's Jurassic Park time. That probably influenced that when you think about it. Yeah. And who's that art by? Alison
Boiselle.
Did she draw the original Grimlock book?
No,
that was
she
from
was
Diaclone.
only involved once G2 started.
Yeah.
She also did the Laser Optimus Prime. All right.
I think a lot of people always assume those were produced in Japan, but
No, she was an employee at Hasbro. Let's see, next. Oh, here we go.
another one.
Yeah. So this repaint of was originally going to be called Sandstorm. That was the name on the. I have a different version of this that had the name Sandstorm on it. So again, there were several Seekers for G2 that didn't get made, but this one's I think one of the most.
Funny to think they were already creating new Seekers with Storm in the name back then before it became popular.
There you go. They were ahead of the curve. Next.
Oh yeah, check this one out. This is G2 Gobot Rumble, who never came out. No, wait, did it come out?
No, the fourth wave of GoBots never came out, and by now I've tracked down art for all 6 of these. I think four of them showed up in Legacy, but I've since tracked down the other 2, and hopefully we'll see them at some point. They're not in the new book, but I will plug the new book in a bit.
Explain this one, Jim.
Yeah, and this one is going to be in the new book. This one was a 15th anniversary of the Transformers box set that never came out, but that Hasbro commissioned Doug Hart, who did all the Beast Wars box art, to draw a concept sketch for. So the idea was a time warp was going to open up. On the upper left it says time warp, or something to the effect of that. And the G1 guys are going to come and fight with the Beast Wars guys. So you can see Optimus and Megatron and Primal and the other Megatron and various fights going on. And there's volcanoes and lightning in the background. And it says Transformers logo, 15th anniversary logo, and Beast Wars logo.
Yeah.
So that would have been awfully cool. That would have been 99 if that had come out. Next.
All right, some of you might have seen this one before. This is it's a bit small. I know this is a concept sketch for Rat Trap. You know how the Rat Trap toy, and you'll know from the cartoon as well, the top of his head kind of looks like an exposed brain. Well, this is an idea that they were leaning into with the cartoon. They were going to lean into that exposed anatomy and make him this sort of broken down, like, what was it that his His pod had failed, or the CR chamber had failed while giving him his beast mode, so he came out all sort of not right with exposed organs and what's this? The quote was a colostomy bag like heating cable. Yeah. And it's not the only weird early idea they had for Beast Wars as well. Like one of the early ideas for Cheetor was that he would have a big smiling face. And that over the course of the first season, he would, as he performed heroic deeds, I think his spark would glow, or he would have like a light or something that represented like the heart of a hero, and it would glow when he performed heroic deeds, and his face would slowly mature into a more toy accurate head as the season went on. I think we can all be pretty grateful that they did not go ahead with some of these ideas.
There's a reason some of these ideas are preliminary.
Yeah.
All right, next.
Speaking of Beast Wars, now this is for The Last Night, believe it or not. Because we know that The Last Night was a hodgepodge of ideas. You know, one group of people came up with a story for King Arthur and Transformers, and another one had World War II and Transformers, and they jammed those in there to make to make one film. But we don't know anything about where or what. So out there somewhere, someone came up with a draft idea for The Last Night that was gonna be beastie. And there's this primal. Now this is all that we can show you, but
if anybody picks up my new book, Transformers: A Visual History, in November, there's a little more like this. So I think
it's on your own head, be it, Jim.
It's going to be Cheetor. It's going to be the Transformers 5 version of Cheetor. So I can't show it, but yeah, that'll be exciting to see, I think.
You can see he's just called Primal there. I mean, you know how you've seen these design sheets before. Sometimes the name that are on these movie design sheets has no bearing on what the character would be called in the final film, but you like to think they would have gone ahead with that. I think we have one more thing here from The Last Night as well, don't we? Next, I think.
There we go.
Yeah. I thought this looked a little bit depth chargy. Do you remember how there was that submarine in The Last Night and how they said it was a Transformer and then nothing happened with it? There you go. They ran out of money, that's right. Well, they did have at least some idea somewhere along the way of what they were going to do. But I saw this and I thought, it looks a bit depth chargy.
Yeah, I can see that. Let's see what's next.
Like a giant tackle.
Looks like all the different aquatic Transformers rolled up in one. You could get away with it. Sea spray, he's got the scuba mask and everything on him, yeah.
It's kind of a fun one. Let's see the next one.
This next. Speaking of the movie.
Yeah, so Long Haul was a little bit interesting because this one, if anyone remembers the Revenge of the Fallen toy line, he was packaged in robot mode. And the reason was, it was just too big. All the other ones were packaged in vehicle mode, and the internal development team really wanted to do him consistently, but they just couldn't get him to fit. So this was the closest they could come up with. So they wound up doing him this way.
I think we have a few more things.
Yeah, this one's another one from Rick. So let's see what's next from Rick.
Yeah, some more things in there, packaging that never happened.
Yeah, so I think most people who remember the Megatron Megabolt toy, this did eventually come out, but it only came out in Robots in Disguise.
As a KB Toys exclusive, I think.
KB Toys exclusive. But originally it was going to be part of the Battle of the Spark line of Beast Machines. And if you go to the next page, that's
his bio.
Probably too hard to read, but yeah.
I can read it out, I can see it.
All right, go for it.
Let's see, the motto is, what does not destroy me makes me strong. What attempts to destroy me shall be obliterated.
Yes.
The leader of the New World Order on Cybertron, Megatron Megabolt, is the supreme tyrant, evil genius, and commander of the Viacons. Combines brute strength, military cunning, ruthlessness, and terror to achieve cruel methods of oppression. Focuses energies on his mission to restore the machine-like purity of the Transformers. Creating a devastating virus that wiped out the inhabitants on Cybertron, Megatron Megabolt populated the planet with Viacons. Now Megatron Megabolt Redemption. Now Megatron Megabolt has taken the form of a gigantic cybernetic head that hovers over Cybertron, deploying an array of vehicons in an unending effort to wipe out the Maximals. Will stop at nothing to fulfill his twisted vision of the future. I do feel like there are two drafts spliced together there, don't you? It's a load of like sentence fragments at first, and then there's that nice summary of the cartoon dropped in the middle, and then it goes, will stop at nothing to fulfill his twisted vision of the order at the end again.
All right, let's see what else.
Oh, here's one that didn't come out, yeah.
Now, this one's a little funny. This came out in Japan, right?
It did in a box set. No, that's Demolition Rumble.
Yeah, but actually, now,
Rumble is the blue one.
well, that brings us to kind of a funny story related to this one. So, the design team at Hasbro, their plan was to effectively troll all of you guys because they were going to release this as Demolition Rumble, and then halfway through the run, do a running change to the packaging and change it. To Demolition Frenzy, yes, without changing the color. So they were going to have it both ways. So, if nothing else, it's worth showing this just for that. All right, next.
One last toy that never came out.
Yeah, any animated fans? Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think this is any surprise, but yeah, they had tried to create a the Voyager class?
Yeah,
the large class of Thundercracker. So they decorated him up. Let's see the next one. It's the robot mode. There you go. So they made him up, but I guess they couldn't find a venue for him.
But he didn't even come out in Japan, because they released like Blackout and B and Prime there, but Thundercracker never made it out anywhere.
Yeah, kind of sad. All right, next.
Oh, here's a Bev. Everybody loves a bit of Energon.
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys remember the gimmick, the main gimmick of Energon for the Autobots was that they could all form the top half or the bottom half of a larger robot, spark of combination. So they actually made up box art for many of them that had both the top and the bottom half. So let's see the next one.
There's Toad's tail.
So you can see all the negative space, and the idea is you could just assemble them together to make whatever box art you wanted. So let's see.
And they have their guns there as well, so that they could literally just paste the respective gun into the hand of the top bot if they needed to.
So this is what we found, and we took a stab at combining them, and it looks something like this. There you go.
Just like that. See how they just paste the gun into the hand and paste the two bodies together. I think their plan was probably to have a big, a light burst in between the two.
Yeah, they'd probably do it better than we
combining,
did. But there's a whole bunch of this that's in the next in the visual history book, if you're interested.
Yeah, this is just a little sample.
Yep, there we go.
There's some stuff from Master Force.
Yeah.
Early sketches for Giga and Mega, who some of you probably know, those are the humans who piloted Overlord in the Master Force cartoon. They, there's no real explanation for why they dress the way they dress.
Because it's awesome.
But yeah, Mega would gain a witch's hat and Giga would lose the cape, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, they were some of the biggest differences between the early sketches and what we finally got. But one of the kind of interesting ones is on the next page. So, yeah.
So this is Buster and Hydra, you might recognize here, the Japanese versions of Darkwing and Dreadwind. But then on the right here, this is, it either says Mayumi or possibly Makumi. I think it's Mayumi, but the Y is backwards if it is. This is Mayumi, and then if we go to the next one, we see this character here, second from the left, Shinichi. And these were, we presume, these were going to be the original idea for Double Dealer, Double Clouder.
Yeah, he would have had two different
humans, one Autobot, one. These are the other Godmaster. Wait a minute, sorry, not second from the right. On the far right here. Sorry, Shinichi on the right here. Yeah, there would be one Autobot Godmaster and one Decepticon Godmaster who presumably controlled the same transtector, but in the end they changed it to just one human who switched armors, Clouder.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of two different humans. I think that would have been fun to play with.
Master Force had a lot of strange ideas in the development. It's a good show though.
Yeah. Next.
Oh, I love this one. Doesn't look, doesn't seem like anything too special, does it? This is from a deleted scene from Starscream's Brigade. In the finished episodes, the backstory of the Combaticons, the renegade Decepticons, is filled in by Teletran 1. But in the script, at the script stage, I think it was at the same time as Teletran 1 was doing that, or shortly after. I can see why they cut it, because it was a little redundant since Teletran did that already. But Megatron sits down and explains to the Decepticons who these renegade Decepticons are, who these Combaticons are. And we've got a full-scale flashback to ancient Cybertron, where the Combaticons were loaded aboard this futuristic transport and taken to the detention cell, where we would have seen Shockwave, I think it was, remove their personality components and then disintegrate their bodies. And this is just, it's just fun to see how things were designed. It was the nature of the pace of the production of the cartoon, that things were being designed for scenes and then just dropped outright like that.
Or snipped after animated.
Now there's a few other things we have here from the G1 cartoon as well that you, same era.
There we go.
How about that? You never see Alita in vehicle mode properly in the cartoon.
She's behind Optimus.
She's in it, but she's hidden mostly behind Optimus. And that's what she would have actually looked like. But there are a few other characters in the G1 cartoon that we never saw in vehicle mode.
Yeah, so let's go to the next one.
Orion Pax in vehicle mode.
Yeah.
Never transforms in the cartoon. Ariel doesn't either, but we don't think there is a. We don't think there is a model
I'm
for
guessing
Ariel's
no,
vehicle
because
mode.
I have a pretty good set of models from that episode. But
Dion does transform in the
I
episode,
have the
but Orion
model
never
sheet from
does.
him. But yeah, so they must have had Orion Pax transform at some point again, and presumably in a cutscene. How much time we got? 5 minutes?
You what?
No, that can't be right.
Right, better start picking up the pace.
All right, we were.
How about that? There's drag strip. That's what drag strip would have looked like.
He was in a commercial.
Yeah, the combiners were designed. The combiners were added to the cartoon very late, and their character models were initially designed based off of like prototypes and Xeroxed line art of prototypes, and that's why a lot of the combiner teams in the cartoon, the Combaticons and Stunticons in particular, don't really look very much like the toys, and not that that looks particularly like the drag strip toy either, but that's what he would look like at one stage.
All right,
You can see up on the top, it's from a commercial. Yeah. Here's one. This was going to be an Autobop in season 2, the Dancetron episode where Blaster and Soundwave fight in the dance club. They were planning on bringing the Autobot cassettes in that early, but it got cut. If you go to the original Bible, the synopsis for the episode, like the on-file synopsis, mentions a battle of sound waves or a battle of music and transforming mini cassettes. And you can very much see they must have designed the toy by this stage, because that's very close to. But they did design a brand new model for the third season when Eject and Rewind would eventually come in.
All right.
But
Next. Yeah, and this was just some of the ideas that the fan club was exploring in terms of fleshing out the cassettes that we didn't get.
yeah, because in an early draft of the movie, before they had settled on the fact that the 86 Autobot cassettes were going to be Steeljaw, Ramhorn, Eject and Rewind, they were going to be Bolts the robot in the top right, presumably that's who the guy in Autobot would have been. Cubby the lion, who obviously evolved into Steeljaw. Stinger the scorpion, and oh goodness, who's the other one?
Not
It's
sure.
a rhino. What was his name?
It wasn't.
Help! Anybody know?
No.
It wasn't Ramhorn.
No, but it presumably evolved into.
Cubby, Bolts, Stinger, and
Next.
I'm letting myself down. Come back to me after.
There we go. And since we're on the Transformers the movie, which is where we're going to end, so we might get through our
We're gonna wrap up here
5 minutes.
quickly.
So this is a very early Florida design for Autobot City. Called Fortress Maximus at the time.
Yes. There are a lot of... You've probably seen some of these rather beautiful watercolor, Technicolor images online in the last year or two. But the question sort of hangs around them is whether or not they are the genuine articles from the past, or if there's something that Derry has drawn using old designs, not literally inventing on the spot, but if they're new drawings that he's created based on them. Like the presence of Cybertron up there in the top corner, that doesn't fit with anything about Autobot City that would have existed even at this point. But yeah, Autobot City is described sort of in the script as existing. I feel like he maybe took the wrong idea from the script where it talks about how Autobot City sits in a natural bowl. It just means the canyon that the city sits in and all the mountains it's surrounded by. I think maybe he might have taken it a bit literally and created this bowl design. And if we go to the next one, you can see how the transformed city, the battle station that it adopts in the film, was supposed to rise up and close up like the bowl would rise up and shut like a Terry's chocolate orange.
And Chris pointed out a note to me in the
I love this one. I'm actually going to have to stand up to get close enough to read it. I did not follow exactly the design of the city in the script because they are not very interesting. And if that does not sum up the Floro Derry approach to Transformers design work, I don't know what does.
Let's see what else from Transformers the movie.
Squeeze in. Oh, the Meccano Beast. Some of you might have seen this one, perhaps in a basics. This was from an earlier draft of the film again, where they were going to introduce the toys that would have become the Predacons. They were originally designed to be a group of Autobots called the Anibots.
And they would live in the Roboto Zoo.
Yeah. The idea was that they would be released. Wheeljack and Ultra Magnus would open the cages and sick the Anibots on the constructed, well, the Decepticons, I think, yeah. And the Anibots were, let's see if I can remember all of these guys.
Oh, you don't need to.
Oh, look, I can do it. Simba the lion, literally, Shriek the eagle, Clump the rhino, Pardo the leopard, and Thump the buffalo. And they would have combined into the dragon beast.
Is it just me, or does Thump the Buffalo sound vaguely dirty?
Yeah, the script describes how this creature would breathe lightning that would emerge from its mouth like waves in a Japanese painting. But obviously they scrapped the idea, reworked the toys to be transformed to combine into a more traditional humanoid mode for Predaking. They became the Anicons, and then they were the Predacons, and that's all she wrote. Next one. Oh, here's Unicron. The original... of course, now at this stage, they didn't have a name for him. He was just the entity. Yeah.
The planet entity.
The planet entity. The team that was sort of put it... We still to this day don't really know who did what when it comes to the story of Transformers the movie, but it sort of seems like there was a team at Sunbow in New York putting the main beats of the film together. These are the toys, this is where you got to put them. Then then Ron Friedman took that outline, did his script, and it went back to them, and then Flint Dilley did his big pass over it that hammered it into the shape of the finished film. And yeah, at the time they had just, it says in that particular outline, note, the entity needs a new name. We might try to cast Orson Welles. I think we have his robot mode next, don't we? Yep, there he is. Yeah. And this is how Unicron looked in the Marvel comic. Like they tidied up his design for the cartoon, but like every character in the film, the original design got used for the comic, and in the third season, in fact, in the episodes like Ghost in the Machine, where it's about his head. That it's just that head lifted off the model. It's that slightly pointier, slightly bigger eyes.
Yeah, and you can see that this has been faxed just from the little boxes on the side of it.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah. That's the printer paper that would come out of the facsimile.
And what did he look like once they slapped some color on him, though?
Yeah. There we go. The entity.
He was still the entity. And they had a few ideas for names. Unitron, Absorbacron. Masticar?
Would anyone here spend $600 for Absorbitron? Probably yes, but
Masticar was the one that got me.
because he eats. All right,
Yes,
next.
Unitron was another, but the one they got very close to using was Ingestor. Yeah, but the idea was that in the original, in the early draft of the script, Megatron would be found. We would land on the planet Unicron, and this disembodied voice would speak to him, and it would introduce itself as the caretaker of the planet Unicron. It spoke to him from deep within the planet, and it wanted him to gather. A big part of the original draft was that the Decepticons had to gather energy to feed the planet Unicron, and they did it on Earth as well. There was a whole deleted subplot on Earth where Blaster led a guerrilla team of Autobots to stop the Decepticons stealing energy of Earth. And then at the end of the film, it would turn out that there was no caretaker of Unicron. It was really the evil robot Ingestor.
Do not look behind the curtain.
The planet Unicron would transform into the robot Ingestor. And again, probably happy enough that they didn't go that route.
Streamline that down. And
yeah, the
last thing,
Yeah.
So you might remember us talking a little bit about what the lithones originally would have been.
Yes. Now this is a view of the planet Lithone from space, which you don't really see clearly in the finished film. You sort of see it through Unicron's mouth, and then it pushes in very close on the surface of the planet.
And this isn't the final design anyway.
But the early designers, or rather, excuse me, the early intention for Lithone was that it was a planet of living rock robots.
But then a whole other movie about living rock robots came out, and then that idea got scrapped.
That's why it's called Lithone, from the Greek, lithos, meaning stone.
Yeah.
And that's why in a like a pre-production, very close to being finished version of the script that has been online since the internet has existed, basically, that people have had to reference since before some of you were born. In one or two spots, the character of Kranix is referred to as Granix. And for 25 years, people thought this was just a typo in the script. But then this early draft that we're talking about with the Anibots and other things came out, and it turns out that, yeah, Lithone was originally supposed to be a planet of rock robots, and Granix was from granite.
Yeah.
And then they reshaped it into Kranix. And we have no evidence for it. There's been no proof of it, but I'll swear down that that Arbalus was originally going to be Marbalus. I have no proof for that, but I'm pretty sure.
If you go to the last slide, close up on the surface of Lithos.
On the surface of Lithone.
Yeah.
You can see how it's just like a robotic city on top of these giant
Pile of
chasms of rock. Yeah.
So not something that, again, this is something I literally found on Monday of this week.
Something that has never been seen before.
I thought that was kind of neat. And this is where we're going to end off. Thank you for joining us on this journey.